Right, today is Thursday, and you are welcome to the newspaper review segment here on Pan-African Television. Let me apologize greatly to you for the late start of the show. I miscalculated and I used a certain route, and when it dawned on me and I checked the time, I realized I was dead late. So I apologize to you greatly for the late start of the show. However, I think that this morning we are going to do justice to the topic that we've selected for our conversation this morning. I am excited, and I believe you're also very excited about it. We're going to definitely address matters of concern. And who else to best have this conversation with this morning than our very own Dr. Alhaji Marzouk Mohammed. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I trust you are well.
You are well. I'm well.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Dr. Marzouk, it's been a while.
Sir. It's been a while. We miss you. We miss you on the show.
It's been a while.
Yes.
Yeah. And our very own Dr. Kweku Mauto Mensa. Good morning,
Chairman. Good morning.
I trust you are well.
It's been a while, Chairman.
Charlie,
Yeah, Kwame, it's been a while.
let me confess. And with all apologies to your school, with all apologies.
Oh, no problem. That's fine.
But look, your school is beginning to have a certain respect and influence in this country, and I'm happy.
We can thank God for
UPSA.
that. We thank God.
And your branding. I don't know who is in charge of your branding. You know, I think you people should employ Dr. Marzouk. And let him add his fountain of knowledge.
Thank you.
To the galaxy of knowledge that you are producing from your school. Listen, I was watching a documentary. In fact, I had some of my friends lecturing in the law school in your school.
Okay.
Yeah, some of my juniors in KNUST. She's now a lawyer.
Okay.
You know, so I was following your school, and then I realized that, hey, you guys, you've rebranded, you know. Abochi is doing well. Is it Abochi?
Yeah, Abochi is the head of
Hey, the guy is doing well.
the law school. Yeah.
My wife's friend is also the Benedicta Lassie.
Well, Lassie said very good.
Yeah, Lassie is also there.
Yeah, very good.
Yes. And you know, it's good. It's good to see that UPSA is gradually taking center stage within the educational sector, and I'm happy, to be honest.
Yeah, as an academic, I can confirm what you are saying.
Yeah.
In fact, yesterday, I was with the VC, who is also a board member.
Oh,
we had
okay.
a Get Fund board meeting yesterday.
Okay.
I was with him, and I told him that he should try as much as possible to continue.
Yeah.
Of course, I am in a different university. I have a responsibility to maintain academic objectivity. One thing the UPSA is also noted for is academic innovation. I mean, we want people.
They are behaving like UCC.
Innovation. UCC or UDS.
No, it's true. It's true.
Yes. In terms of academic innovation, they are the best.
Because
and of course, digitization.
Digitization.
Yeah, they are using.
You know, they are using social media a lot.
Yes.
With respect to Legon and my very own KNUST, which school I do not downplay. Yeah. But I think that KNUST and Legon, and I stand to be corrected, it appears that they are content.
And they are content.
I don't know.
Of course, they belong to a certain class.
Yeah.
But we may be wrong.
Contentment is.
We may be wrong, or it may be faulty analogy if we want to judge them in the context of the UPSA.
No, I'm talking about the innovations.
I know.
Because to be honest with you see, which is why I think that UPSA is the direct opposite of Ashase. Ashase is more into technology and things like that. UPSA is trying to be the opposite of Ashase in terms of general education.
Yes, that's liberal arts, and then liberal thinking, general arts, and then holistic education. Let me put it that way. But then, if you look at Legon, they are more or less conservative. They are leading the academic or the knowledge community. So definitely they may have certain features that we may not understand or that may not respond to the modern society. Whether we like it or not, they are an older university, and they may be still compelled to respond to certain older versions, even though they have made their own achievements.
But shouldn't education just as governance be dynamic? and material.
Yeah, dynamic within a certain context.
Within the context of societal changes.
Demands.
Or demands, you know.
Yes, and let me also put it that way. Every university has its own scientific thinking. In fact, it is only in this country that we do not categorize universities. Normally, in other jurisdictions, we have research universities, teaching universities, and hybrid ones, universities that are teaching and research in nature. I want to believe that these older universities, the KNUST, the Legon, and then the UCC, are much more oriented in research.
Do you know why?
In teaching.
Yeah, everything you have said is absolutely true. Yes. However, I think UCC is taking a different direction.
Yes.
As a matter of reality, they want to now build one of the biggest law faculties in Africa.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So this is being very innovative, being progressive, and looking at the demands and finding solutions for those things. Because one thing I've also come to know is that in the midst of crisis, that is when innovators are found.
Sure.
So with the demand going high, and like you said, finding the right tools within the context of educational demands,
yes,
they will be the torchbearers, which is why they are doing that.
Yeah, they are.
And I think UPSA is following closely. Look, this school also started very well, and Central University, I do recall, because almost a lot of my friends attended that university. In fact, at some point when I completed KNUST, I just wanted to go to that school for no apparent reason. I just wanted to go and maybe read some course there or something, because it was a sight to behold.
But another university which is rapidly growing in terms of academic expansion and innovation is the UDS. UDS, unfortunately, because they don't make noise. UDS has been able to generate a number of courses and programs that were in the past unknown in this country. Right, and it is the same direction. What we should understand is that whether Legon invests in competency or not, Legon remains Legon. You understand that? Past glory or present glory. The past glory overseas.
But that is always the problem we have.
Yes, but then
because you cannot continue to.
I'm making a point.
Okay.
But if UDS or UPSA or any of relatively new university does not do anything in terms of innovation, that university will suffer. And some of these universities even they operate outside their mandate. You understand that? For example, you have your own university, Science and Technology.
The best university in Africa.
Which is competing, a technology university, which is competing with other universities in liberal arts, in humanities, in social sciences.
So then the question then is
operating
absolutely
outside their mandate.
Yes.
And of course, and I because it's all part of innovation. Let's not also strangulate them. Let's give them the opportunity. After all, university education is liberal thinking.
But we see what you have actually indicated here is, in my estimation, one of the things I am beginning to believe that Nkrumah was thinking of. How to sort of like practicalize universities as opposed to just theoretizing them. Because if you look at the best school in Africa, KNUST,
the best technological university in Africa,
the best university in Africa.
Well, according to your assumption, all right.
That's my assumption, and I believe you share in that assumption. That KNUST should just be a
technology,
and then UCC was also supposed to do teaching,
education,
and then I think University of Education was supposed to do
teaching, They was also to then University of Ghana,
general arts, things like that. Don't you think we should go back?
Civil servants.
Don't think we should go back? We should go back to that, where you will make the universities more professional based as opposed to, so for instance, UDS, because I know UDS is now noted for medicine. They are producing a lot of very intelligent medical personnel in this country. So let's say we say UDS is only noted for medicine and nothing more. Imagine the and I'm not saying, I'm not discounting the fact that the people that they have produced now are doing exceptionally well. But imagine if it was only noted for that. Imagine if Legon was only noted for, let's say, law. I'm just saying law, just everything about law. So they have their LLMs, they have their, you know, their PhDs, they have their, you know what I'm saying? They have their professional course, blah, 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 all those sort of things. KNUST noted for technical things with the support of other, maybe University of Mines or things. Mines can actually even look at, you know, mining and its allied courses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, those things are good. They are very good concepts, but they are not meant, to be frank with you, if you consider the literature, educational management or academic administration, they are not meant for larger universities. Specialized technical universities are smaller universities, managing smaller numbers. But when you are dealing with larger universities, with larger campuses and multi-campuses, definitely you cannot have such universities. Because sometimes universities too are judged by the number of programs they run. And the number...
And not the quality?
The number, of course, the number will be in line with the quality. Quality, affordability, and competency of graduates, right? So it is good. Yeah, it's good for us. In some jurisdictions, we have such universities. We call them specialized universities or specialized schools, higher institutes of learning. However, they are normally smaller ones. If you bring them, my brother, you are talking of practicalities. Can you have about 10,000 engineering graduates in this country? It definitely will not graduating at the same time. It definitely will not give you the opportunity to give them the adequate practical training.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Yeah. If we have my thinking, and you can also disagree with me. Yeah. But my thinking is that, and rightly so, if you have universities producing, let's say 10,000, what do you say, technical?
Yeah,
IT says something about that. Is it what?
Technical, specialized universities.
Yeah, producing a number of 10,000 technical students, for instance, right? I think that there will be very good use for them, particularly where the world is going. Artificial intelligence, and you see, I think that they will resign themselves into thinking of how to create jobs for themselves.
Yes,
in my estimation,
and creators. But then, what I am saying is that when we are dealing with the numbers being manned by the traditional universities, this concept is almost impossible in this country because of the numbers. Even where it is practiced, the universities deal with smaller numbers. And you are right in terms of the trends in knowledge acquisition. Because what is now the glorified concept is not divergence. Knowledge has now assumed the level of convergence, not divergence. Some time ago, we had straightforward courses. If you were a journalism student, you had nothing to do with science.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
But then today, it is not divergence, it's about convergence.
Yes.
That is the principle now. Now, if you are a journalism student, you are bound to have competency in science and technology. You should be able to use technological tools.
Yeah.
Right? So that tells you about the convergence instead of divergence in terms of knowledge acquisition in contemporary society.
Yeah.
So you are still right, but the implementation will be
because
impossible.
Dr. Kokuma, and the reason why it is, I mean, this is not part of the topics we are having. We're supposed to discuss,
it's very important.
But it's very important. Yeah. The reason why I'm asking this is, I know of so many people who have had to stay at home for 2, for 3, for 4 years because they failed mathematics, for instance, because they failed science. But these people just wanted to go and do sociology or something.
Exactly.
Or English.
Yes.
But they had A in English.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But they've had to live in the house because they say that, well, if you don't pass science, mathematics, you won't get opportunity to go and study something else. If the person wanted to do, let's say, law.
Add that they stay in the house with a level, managing or nursing a level of stigmatization.
Absolutely, yes, that is one. And you become rusted.
I'm telling you.
One of the things is that if you study, if you are unable to go to school, and your colleagues leave you, if you are not a strong-willed person, you will end up staying in the house for a long time.
I'm telling you.
Because first of all, you are disappointed, you are hurt. Like you're saying, stigmatization and things like that. So my point is that why should we deny people the opportunity to go to school to pursue another course by reason of failing, let's say, mathematics or science, when the person has no intention whatsoever to pursue any science course. Listen, I was not good in mathematics. Me, everybody knows it. I had to just study mathematics, pass, so that I could go to the university. When I went to university, quantitative, I struggled, and then I passed, right?
Afro Stars, Legon.
I'm telling you, I did quanti in tech, and then I passed, right? So I never really liked it. And of course, sometimes when you're growing up, your teachers and things, the way they will beat you and things like you even you don't have, discourages you to learn and pass. Now, years later, in doing my LPC with the University of Law, I came back to meet solicitors' accounts. Okay, I've come to meet solicitors' accounts. I've come to meet corporation tax.
Okay.
Now, guess what? Now, my brain is so open and widened that even though I did not like mathematics at the time, right now I'm able to appreciate it better, far better.
Far better. Yeah, that's
true. I had over 80% in solicitors' accounts.
Yes.
And I was saying my friends, I didn't even know mathematics. Yes. Do you understand what I'm saying? So sometimes when you are growing up, your ability to appreciate certain courses because you don't even like them to start with is not there. But when you grow and it becomes necessary, you will be able to learn it on your own.
Look, my brother, let me tell you.
So why do you prevent people?
Let me tell you, all that
I'll come to you. Think about what you say. Let me hear from you. But I'll come to you too.
I think he has been humble because we are praising his university. Because we are, I know he has been humble.
But do you understand my problem?
On his university.
Because I want to read law.
Even though my university too is around. You're also doing well in terms of.
But do you understand?
Yes, I understand. What I want you to understand is that look. The solution to all that we are discussing is decolonizing the curricula.
Thank you.
It's a problem.
If we do not decolonize the curricula, we will continue to review literature instead of find solutions. I'm telling you. Look, why will someone be penalized for citing Asante Hene or Yanna or Togbe, and someone be rewarded for citing Plateau, for citing King James or Queen Elizabeth? Why? So until we did look, the Garnier, a French scholar, is reported to have said that there's more knowledge outside the classroom than inside the classroom.
Absolutely.
And that is why, and it is in line with the words of Plato, who describes man as a learning being.
Yeah.
So the classroom is only a fraction of the learning community.
Yeah.
So until we recognize the knowledge outside the Western civilization, we will continue to review the literature.
Absolutely.
Why don't we? The other day, we were together. Doc, you remember?
Yeah.
When I questioned you, I said, look, it is a failure. I call it intellectual timidity on the part of the African scholar. Right? Why don't we have our own citation manual? When you are doing APA, everything, APA, MA, Vancouver, Chicago manual, all of them. Why don't we produce? So what's the use of Association of African Universities? Why can't we produce an African-oriented research manual? If you want to cite, you cite according to, and this manual should be recognized. Why? So if we do not decolonize the curricula of the various programs and courses in this country and in the continent of Africa, we will continue to be the conveyor belts of Western civilization and intellectual thought.
Brilliant submission. Dr. Kokumato.
Thank you.
How is it so difficult for a school such as UPSA to say that, damn you people?
Yes.
Somebody has A's in English, social studies, is it social studies? Yes. Religious and moral education. Do they still do that course?
Yeah.
Religious and moral education.
Literature.
Literature. He has A's in government, geography, and all of those ones. And then is unable to pass maybe mathematics or science. And then UPSA says, well, we are sorry, you didn't pass, so we will not accept you. Whereas we know that the person perhaps even has chosen to read something which is unrelated to science or even mathematics.
Thank you, Kwame.
Why?
Thank you. Thank you, Kwame.
And do you think at some point we'll be able to move away from that thinking?
We will. We will. Kwame, thank you. Just as Doc mentioned, I'm humbled. Yes, you asked some rhetorical questions which I think were critical. The fact that even though we've existed for a number of years, since 1965, we have emerged out of a tutorial school to a fully fledged university. And all the things, the good things we are hearing is that, look, we can only thank God for where we are today.
The conversation.
And I'm very happy that you also mentioned the branding aspect of it. Fortunately for us, our current Vice Chancellor is a marketing person. So you should appreciate that. And even in addition to that, the previous Vice Chancellor, that is Professor Alabi, also had a marketing background. So for the past, let me say, 10 years to 16 years, we are talking about marketers handing over to another marketer, who is Professor Oko now. So the branding didn't come by chance. But let me tell you this. Indeed, it is a conscious effort to identify a niche for ourselves. And I can tell you that we have a unique thing we do, always subjecting ourselves to peer review. Every now and then we do it. So you see, when COVID truncated a number of university calendars, UPSC was not highly affected. In fact, we're the first to go virtual.
Yeah, I remember.
Because we have been doing it. You know, at a graduate school for the past 10 years, we had lecturers in the UK, in the US, who were teaching on weekly basis from their remote locations. Okay, so it was just a matter of policy that we should all go virtual. And then within a week, we all went virtual. So, indeed, we are being celebrated and we are humbled by that celebration, but we continue to move faster.
I think the law school has also added something to
it. Oh, yes.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Dr. Mazuk mentioned something. I think that is very crucial, especially at this material time. Now that we've come to appreciate that anything can happen to anybody anywhere in this world, or anything can happen to any country, or anything can happen to the world. And so we must be thinking ahead of our time. He makes a very sacrosanct point about decolonization of our educational system. The reason why we've had to grapple with all of these nuances is because we have failed, or we've not perished the thought of moving away from our colonial setup in terms of education to a more refined, innovative, sustainable, educational system that is responsive to the current demands of the people. Very sacrosanct point. He may have just made that point, quite lightly, but it's a very sacrosanct point. But how do we do that when you still have people who, instead of being progressive, are very myopic in their thinking? Do you know what I'm saying? And that, for instance, you have an educational system where people are saying that, no, as for us, we've created, we are in a box. Nobody can come in, nobody can go out. How do we move? How do we grow? How do we expand? And I'm surprised that till now, people don't know that where we are in this world, the economies of the world are affected by even your educational system. I mean, those times it was there, we know that. But right now, the pivot around which everything revolves is your educational setup. Dubai took 50 years to develop the economy. As I speak to you, I think last year or so, India had the highest GDP in the world. In the world, India. India.
And they learn in India.
They learn in India. The president, absolutely.
Yes.
Look at China.
Yes.
China only sends people out to learn a few, to learn how to speak English and things like that for the purposes of trade.
Yes.
But not for the purposes of influencing their education. So there's a fundamental deficiency in our educational setup, which is born out of our colonization of the educational system. And it's deliberate, even with the people who are currently in places of authority.
Kwame.
Yes.
I think, look, let me tell you, you are just on track. I resonate with whatever my colleague mentioned as well as yourself. And let me tell you this. We need to accept that you cannot decouple education from development. The essence of educating yourself is to develop and solve problems. Kwame, the fundamental problem you are talking about is no. And research has revealed that none of the developed and emerging economies developed outside their language. None. The Germans developed using their language, Deutsch. They never abandoned their language. The English use English. The Americans, English. The Chinese use Chinese. The Japanese use their own language. The Malaysians, the Koreans use their own language. Let me give you a classical example. That is why in Ghana, an engineer will complete their studies in the universities and will send the same period when someone, I don't call them uneducated, they are even the elite in our society, those who cannot speak English. The same young man who was picked from the village sent to a master as an apprentice to be taught how to repair cars.
And they will fix your car.
Within a year, they can do what the guy in the university who studied for what? 4 years cannot do. And you know the difference? Language. Language.
He understands what he's doing.
He understands what, you see, the means of instruction is very, very important to acquiring knowledge. Look, we've not really realized that as a country and even as a continent, we need a common language for the purpose of developing ourselves. You know, once we sway into this argument, the issue of ethnicity will come in here. Now, I quite remember President, belated happy birthday to President Kufuor.
Jack.
Yesterday he celebrated the 85th birthday. Senior, happy birthday. Yeah. He brought a conversation about making Twi a national language, maybe a second national language, means of instruction in our various schools. What happened? Politicized. And then some ethnic groups came in. But trust me, just like English,
there is nowhere you go that you won't find
Twi. Look, I'm not an account. I'm an aware. Go to the Volta region in the markets. They use Twi to trade. The first time I went to Navrungu market, I roamed the market for about 30 minutes and I didn't hear any of their native language but Twi. You see, we need to understand that where we have gotten to models our education such that we will have an option where people can start educating themselves from an indigenous language from crèche to the university. Just as we meant, the Chinese didn't learn English for the purpose of solving their problems, just for trade purposes.
Trade! It was a trade.
Today, China is investing.
No, trade. It was a
and for the purpose, because for their reverse engineering,
absolutely,
they translated all the engineering books into Chinese language.
Absolutely.
Chairman, do you know why? Sorry. Do you know why in Africa we have very successful pastors and churches here?
Yes. Reverse
it is because the Bible and the Quran has been translated. It's not true?
Yeah.
The Bible I can speak for in Twi, in Ga, in Ewe,
in Hausa,
in all the languages. So people are trained in their language. So they grew up to become good pastors. They speak the gospel, they preach the gospel out of their own language. That is the power of language. So it is not by mistake that African countries are producing the best of pastors who understand the word of God. Can you imagine that? Or do we have any book in this country where science has been translated into Twi.
No, I've not seen anything like that.
And that is where institutes...
Not even in the University of Applied Science and Management.
That is where the Institute of Language is failing. If they are listening to us, it is a gap they should be filling by now. That's the relevance of their establishment. That by now they should have a project that for the next 5 years we want to translate every academic material into indigenous languages. The chiefs are there to help you.
Let
me just read this message before you come in from Ambassador Sampiali, who was the ambassador of Ghana to India.
Yeah.
So he understands the Indian story a lot more than we do, and he has expressed his shock that I had to mention India 3 times, you know, in trying to explain how language works. But first of all, he sends a message regarding the UPSA story.
Yeah.
And it says, the UPSA story is magical, but it happened because of progressive and forward-looking leadership. Simply needs... Oh, this is simply what Ghana does not have now. That's what he's saying, that Ghana doesn't have... No, but in many respects, I think that what Ambassador is saying, take politics out. Take politics out.
Why take
politics out? And in many respects, what the Ambassador is saying is true. Just take politics out and let's face the reality. I think that what Ambassador is saying is not far from being right.
That is leadership bankruptcy.
Leadership bankruptcy and deficiency. Now he continues to say, KOD, I am sad you mentioned India 3 times, either for emphasis or to express your doubt that they could achieve what they have achieved. Well, for emphasis, not for doubt. India using Hindi to teach in their schools, even to the university level. They use Hindi even in their Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Yes.
The means of instruction in local language is that they think in their local language.
That is it.
We should promote Akan, not Twi. We should promote Akan, not Twi.
No problem.
And I agree, because in my home region, so we have Fanti.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's Akan.
It's Akan.
But it's Fanti.
Yeah, the Fanti.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I speak Fanti, you would understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
when somebody speaks Krapim,
you
understand.
Okay, let me now come.
Yes.
You know, mother tongue as a medium of instruction has been confronted by even some of our scholars here.
Okay.
Yes. There have been attempts, and even based on theories, to use mother tongue as the medium of instruction. And some scholars are on record to have rising against such a policy. That's number one. Number two, you know, we have the structures to do what you have proposed.
Yeah.
We have the structures. I will go beyond promoting the Akan. We can promote carefully geographically designed languages.
Sure.
You understand that?
Sure.
Or regionally based languages. For example, we can promote one language in the northern sector.
Absolutely.
Sure.
One language in the middle belt.
Absolutely.
One language in the southern belt.
Yeah.
And when all these languages are given the opportunity to become media of instruction in our educational system, I'm telling you, people will enhance their quality of competence.
And what you're actually saying can also mean that the fact that you're in the southern belt does not mean that you would not learn.
Exactly. That's what
so then everybody will know.
That's what I'm coming in. You know, in terms of academic administration, if the language of instruction, for example, is Dagbani in the north, right? Then the northern students should be compelled to, as part of their academic growth, to learn Twi or Fanti in the north. And those are here should also be encouraged to learn Dagbani as part of their academic growth.
Yeah.
You understand? And we have the structures. Ghana Institute of
Languages.
Bureau of Local Languages.
Local languages, yeah.
They are there.
They are all there, Chairman.
Again, at the primary level, even to the senior high level, we have certain selected language pursuit.
Yeah.
There are people who write SHS, three SHS,
yeah.
Dagbani,
yeah.
Fanti, Ever.
God.
These were languages selected by the Dr. Kwame Nkrumah regime to promote African culture. And I think these languages have been used in the media and academia for a very long time. It's just a matter of developing them to become media of instruction in our universities. And I can tell you we'll do better.
We'll do better.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, this is not a planned conversation. It just happened. But I'm very convinced and highly elated that we've had this conversation, particularly because we've gotten to a point where we must move away from the over-politicization of what I describe as the nerves of our development and our economic freedoms. Because I'm just reading the messages on Facebook. It's quite sad. And I have a big problem with that. I can appreciate that, of course. I mean, politics is good, right? In every sector, there's some element of politics in there. But when we're having a conversation which has the potency of transmogrifying the economic situation, or if you will, the developmental deficiencies of a country to another point where we can all benefit, we must decouple politics from same. And the message that I'm reading here, instead of addressing the fundamental issues that we are discussing, they are talking about minority caucus. So our preoccupation as a nation is about NDC MPP. You know what I'm saying? It's about what this person has said and what this person has not said. So we are limited in terms of even our ability to think beyond the boundaries of our political partisanship. And that is also very central to why we are where we are. Because if you look at even our educational system, let me take you back to the SHS, and I want to stay here a little bit longer before we move on. There was conversations about moving away from 3 years to 4 years under Professor Anamwa. If you read the Anamwa committee which was put together, I think it was in the African peer review mechanism or something like that. I quite remember that I read it. And in fact, there was also poverty alleviation and a few other things which were captured in that peer review mechanism for the purposes of growth for Ghana, right? We have had to deal or play political football with our educational system for a longer period of time. And so there is no clear-cut direction as to where we want to even go in terms of our education. This one comes and says 4 years. This one comes and says 3 years. This one will come and say, no, let's do it progressively free. So what is the policy direction for our educational system such that we decouple politics from education, we decouple politics from health, we decouple politics from our energy? Now, politics, I mean partisan politics. Because in the final analysis, what we witnessed a few days ago didn't wear any political color. And I'm talking about the sit-down strike by the drivers. Everybody suffered it. So don't you think that this is perhaps a clarion call that all of us must at some point hang our political boots and have conversations about nation partisanship and the things that immediately address our parochial interests? Dr. Marzuk.
In summary, we are denouncing partisanship over patriotism. That's exactly what we are doing here. And it's good you have raised it. Today I have to give you an award for setting the agenda. That you've set the agenda of politics and governance, the agenda of progressive education, the agenda of innovation, academic innovation. Thank you very much for that. Let's also agree, before I go into the substantive issue, I want to make it clear that education in every civilized society is a matter of public policy. It is the government that directs, that might initiate the policy to direct education. However, in doing so, the government is obliged to be influenced by patriotism, not partisanship. And that is the problem here. The duopoly in our democratic politics has been the source of politicization of every governmental issue. Every national issue is politicized according to party lines. And because we have two major political parties dominating the governance of this country since the dawn of the Fourth Republic. These are the NDC and MPP. Of course, they are the NDC and MPP. And you know, people, sometimes the government sets the stage for politicization of issues. For instance, the 4-year duration of SHS and the 3-year duration of SHS were both used as campaign tools and were regarded as partisan projects, not national projects. So they did not enjoy public support. And mostly, the governing political party does everything possible to please its loyalists, not the nation. The opposition political party will also do everything possible to dismantle whatever the government is using. So the result is crude politicization to the detriment of national prosperity. I want to believe that education remains a matter of public policy, but that public policy should be a matter of governance, not politics. It should be a matter of patriotism, not partisanship. It should be a matter of progress, not stagnation. It should be a matter of unity, not division. It should be a matter of excellence, not mediocrity. I rest my point.
You rest a point. Let me read a few messages. Dr. Kwame, I'm coming to you. Owusu says we should stop the government from appointing all institutions heads. All heads of institutions. That's what that's what she sent this morning. And Aliu Musa says, my man, this is why we are not moving forward. I think you are talking over your head. Engineering is about drawings. You make diagram of what you want to build. How do you translate calculus? How many languages do you translate the textbooks? When you have one language, it is easy to do that. Have you had P I'm coming as a language in Ghana? The rest will feel like the vanquished. I have a friend who is from the Volta region. He's a successful lawyer, but refuses to learn or speak Twi. Our problem is not recognizing that we are not one, because we are of the same skin tone. Because we are of the same skin tone does not mean we are the same. France is only 22 miles from UK, yet they are different because they speak different languages. In Africa, due to colonization, different nations were put into a melting pot like Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, and forced to speak the to solve our problem, just as Scotland is in the and they study in Chinese.
Do you know calculus have been translated? Some variables of the calculus have been translated in the Bible. Beauty.
Right.
The temple, the measurements.
Yes.
Look, translation.
I'll come to you, but let me just read a few messages, a few more messages.
All right.
Ibrahim Boss says, hi, good morning, Kayode. I'm watching you from Hillsborough, New Jersey. Good morning. Thank you for always watching us from New Jersey. Kojo Demfi says, Kayode, I can tell you for a fact that using Twi to explain concepts, it descends well. But if you tell, but now even if you tell, okay, now if essentially saying is that now if you use your local language to explain things, you seem uneducated. We value media who use English over local media. We have okay. The rest of the message, if you can Abdul Majid Al Hassan says, watching you live from Atlanta, United States of America. Thank you. Alex Gota says, Kayode, please, do you know something? That the idea of changing the 3 years to 4 years NDC is all that NDC who brought it. That is why they changed it. It's all because NDC, but that's why they changed it. Okay. Kanye Nathan said, very impressive discussions. My worry is, come to the basic schools and see how teachers struggle to teach the native language. And that is also another issue that we must, because right now teachers are even finding it very difficult to teach in their native language.
Yes.
Even the true teachers are suffering.
No,
they are not regarded.
Now, Charles Thompson says,
they are not regarded.
Charles Thompson says, let's be absolutely clear about one thing. English is a language, not a measure of intelligence. Simplicity.
It is a fact.
That's a fact. Louise Arjun says, Kayode, good morning to you.
But it's debatable.
It's debatable. Yes. Of course, but every argument is debatable.
Yes,
Kayode, good morning to you and your panelists. I attended Tafo Training College from 1968 to 1972. All students were taught Akan, that is Fanti and Chi, irrespective of your ethnic background.
Exactly.
This was to expose the students in dealing with the pupils we taught during teaching practice and also interacting with the community members. Zach Slim says, I'm very happy this morning. At least there are people who know solutions to the African problem. Mark Ralph says, good morning to you, Kwame. I am enjoying your program and learning a lot from your educationally endowed panelists. Can you please tell Dr. Marzouk that he has been mentoring me from afar?
Thank you.
From day one. I'll be very glad to get close to him. Please tell him if I can get his contact. Abdul Rauf, student of Tamale College of Education, Karaga, Northern Region.
I'm humbled. My number is simple, 0244 755 402.
There you have it.
0244 755 402.
Okay, so I think that people are really enjoying this conversation, and I'm happy that people are enjoying the conversation. One thing that I'm also very certain about is that people are going to enjoy. Let me see if Ambassador Sampiale has sent another message, because I know this morning is following keenly. Right, okay. This Prof. Marzouk is a national revelation, and I love listening to him.
Thank you.
His diction and logic are clear. His philosophy is visionary. I never get tired of listening to him. Ambassador Sampi Iyale.
Oh, Uncle.
Sent in this
Your
one.
Excellency, I rise in your honor.
Yes.
I'm humbled.
All right. So, clearly, I'm happy that people are happy that we are having this conversation. But another conversation which has been slept on, I don't know why, is the Sal people. Santo Kofi, Lolobi, Akpafu, and the other one I've forgotten, Likpe. They don't have any representation in Parliament as we speak. Sal. And Professor Kweku, Stephen Azar always says, Sal is the cardinal sin of the Supreme Court. He always says that. Sal is the cardinal sin of the Supreme Court. Now, Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, denounced unfair representation on Security Council. Can anybody supply me with a Daily Guide newspaper? Daily Graphic, I beg your pardon. Let me just read a little bit of the story. It appears that anyway, Senegalese president. No, that is actually a different sound. Senegalese president Macky Sall. Okay, I thought it was my people in Salo. But nonetheless, we will have to have that conversation.
That's okay.
Yes, denied unfair representation. Anyway, Senegalese president Macky Sall and South African president Cyril Ramaphosa denounced the unfair representation of Africa in the UN Security Council, regretting that no African country is a permanent member. The Senegalese head of state said he was in favor of discussions with non-African countries with a view to reforms so that Africa obtain at least 2 seats as permanent members with all the prerogatives of current permanent. Do you know why I don't even want to continue to read this? Because it's very stupid to me. It's a very stupid request.
Why?
By this. Because you have African Union to build and to develop. You have the African Security Council to build and to equip and to develop so that we can deal with our internal matters. You are fighting over 2 seats. Dr. Marzouk, they are fighting for 2 seats. at the UN Security Council. Hey, Africa.
You know, I think he's right. I think he's right. It seems stupid, but he's right. He's right because we are dealing with. We are in an era of globalization, and we are dealing with a global power body, that is the United Nations. Of course, if you do proper analysis of the architecture of the UN itself, it is more authoritarian than democratic in terms of composition. This San Francisco-based organization, San Francisco-initiated organization, because it was initiated in 1945 on 24th October, right? Yeah. 1945 in San Francisco, in the state of California, right? I think San Francisco is in California. Now it is headquartered in New York. There are other offices in Geneva, in Nairobi, I think in Geneva and in Nairobi, of course, and other places. My problem is, it looks as if the qualification, whether stated or unstated, for the permanent membership is military might and economic superiority. The 5 permanent members since the creation of that global body are the almighty United States, the Great Britain and the UK, the former Soviet Union, now Russia,
yeah.
France, and the People's Republic of China. These are still the leading nations of superior military might. They are expected to be policing the world. Members for African continent. But why should we be given the non-permanent members? Why? Even if we lack leadership, efficiency on the continent, we are still entitled as members of the international community. We are still entitled to be given that opportunity. And it is clear because these hegemonies have taken advantage of the leadership bankruptcy in Africa. And that was what we were talking about, we were complaining about. So in as much as we are bombarded with leadership bankruptcy, we still have the right to our fair share at the universal body structure. We still have the right. So I want to support these African leaders to ensure that we are giving permanent membership on the Security Council.
Okay.
Let me give you the Security Council that rules the world, whether you like it or not. Take COVID, for instance. Where is African voice? We are even worshipping dependency mentality. We are complaining that the rich nations have not donated to us. That's what we are complaining. And we have created terms like vaccine apartheid, vaccine colonialism, vaccine inequality. I mean, these are terms we should have avoided if we had stood by responsible progressive leadership on the continent. They would have respected us. But because we have leadership bankruptcy, we cannot. But what I'm saying is that yes, we have our fair share of blame. That does not mean that we should be denied what we are entitled to. So from one angle, African leaders must be being relegated to the background. From another angle, Africans must be given what they are entitled to at the United Nations headquarters or at the United Nations level. So I still believe that when we are given the opportunity, we can also rule some. And therefore, I agree with the president calling for the inclusion of African leaders on the Security Council.
Okay. Dr. Mazouk,
Yes.
my point of departure, albeit that I agree with you to a very large extent that, you know, we need to get a fair representation. I agree with you on that. However, if you look at how we have conducted ourselves as a continent, and you know, whether or not we wield that level of power to be able to get a seat at the dining table, is a matter that we must have conversations about.
Yes.
Internally, as a continent, I mean, we have deprived ourselves of the respect that we should command by reason of our own actions and inactions.
That's true.
So internally, don't you think our focus rather should be on building a more independent Africa as opposed to fighting for a seat at the Security Council? And I think you've advanced various intelligent arguments why we need a proper representation at the seat.
Yes.
But should that be our primary focus? You know, where our primary focus, in my estimation, should rather be directed at building bridges in Africa, taking away all these borders and barriers so that we can freely trade amongst ourselves and become an economic superpower. Because you see, you answered this question in your submission by saying that these people who are policing the Security Council are doing so by reason of the power that they command.
Yes. Yes.
The economic, you know, force that they wield.
Yes.
And therefore, it only stands to reason that they would be the ones to have, you know, the plates at the dinner table.
Yes.
Why should Africa be concerned with whether or not we have 1 seat or 2 seats? Why must we even be concerned at all?
Yeah. Okay.
When we have African Union to build, when we have African Union, there have been countless number of times where, look, we are still battling with Boko Haram.
That's true.
We are still battling with ISIL. There was a story, I think, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, in Niger?
Yes.
They're having to battle with ISIL and insurgencies and things like that.
Yes.
The United Nations Security Council has never come to the aid of Africans.
Yes. It's because we don't have permanent.
But because it's not about permanency. It's about your impact.
Okay.
You do not need a permanent seat to be able to, you know, make demands. Because when they go to the Security Council, the question is, what do they talk about? It's about what they go there to express. And for me, that is more significant than you can have a senior. Haven't you ever been to a dinner table where, and Dr. Kwame, I think you have maybe ambassadors and PLA there, you have Mr. Kwame Kwesi Pratt there, you have Muhammad there, you have Akufo-Addo there. Dr. Mazu, you'll be there, you might not even be able to utter a word. You know what I'm saying? It happens that you can be given permanency at the seat, but because of the caliber of people there, your suggestion or contribution will be next to insignificance.
So let me address
it. Depends on the people.
Exactly. Let me even come in. Yes. Let me even come. That is timidity, not humility. Timidity is not humility.
Yeah, but people are excited.
Let me give you an example.
Everybody flies to somewhere and go and take pictures.
Let me give you. Let me give you an example.
No, it's true.
With all humility, with all humility, I respect my president. I respect Uncle Kwesi Pratt. I respect all those people you have got. But with all humility, Kwame, even in front of angel of death, I will express my opinion. Even in front of the angel of death, I will continue to showcase my level of assertiveness when I'm given the opportunity.
That can be expressed. Whether it can be enforced is
it doesn't matter. No, that is another thing. But your question is whether I can utter a word. I can. Even in front of the angel of death, I will utter a word if I'm given the opportunity. Unless of all I'm not given. If I'm not given an opportunity, that becomes a totalitarian picture, a scene that depicts authoritarianism. If I am given the opportunity to express my opinion, that is democratic, and I will respect the democratic norms. I will express my opinion with all humility, They are elderly people. I will express my opinion and learn from them. Because if I don't express my opinion, how do I learn from them?
Yes, beautiful.
That's number one. Number two, Kwame, what you have said about building bridges, whatever, emphasizing the prosperity of the African continent is good, but it is misplaced. Misplaced because it is contextually faulty. Kwame, if we decide as Africans to live in isolation, what you are proposing is the best. But remember, we belong to a committee of nations. We belong to the global community. What the United Nations decides affects us. And therefore, we should be interested. What the United Nations decides will have an impact on us, negatively or positively. We should be interested.
Dr. Mazouk, I am in disagreement with you, not because I don't find sense in what you are saying.
Yeah.
I'm disagreeing with you because over the period, African leaders have not conducted themselves in a manner which will suggest that even when they are given permanency at the seat, their decisions or whatever it is that they say will have, you know, a positive impact on the African continent. Okay. That is.
You see, Kwame, yes. I think you and I are on the same page.
Okay.
When we are talking about leadership bankruptcy on the continent of Africa, we are on the same page. However, we should not glorify might over right. It is still our right, even if we do not have good leadership. It is our right to be given the opportunity. And at the United Nations level, this is an international organization of justice. This is an international organization of fair play. This is an international organization of equality. Why should it be manned by countries that can only showcase military power and economic might? So it is a matter of right over might. And I'm sorry to say that this concept can only exist in the jungle. Because it is in the jungle that the survival of the fittest principle exists. If you are not too strong, you don't belong to our table. If you are strong, you belong to our table. That should not exist.
But you see,
we should be talking about a world of equality. It doesn't matter, Kwame. It is not for nothing that political scientists and government experts have come up with the concept of sovereignty. Togolese sovereignty is the same as the U.S. sovereignty. The Nigerian sovereignty is the same as UK sovereignty.
I agree with you.
However, one is stronger than the other. And I'm saying that in terms of dealings, the strong should not be treated differently, preferentially, because he is strong or they are strong.
Okay.
The strong should be treated because they are part of an entirety.
Okay. Sadat Mashu says, if you can't even control or maintain your hope, how do you expect recognition internationally when you are not even united? And Aliu Musa says he's watching us from the UK. Please, I was in Ghana for 14 months and watched the elections. My brothers, the West, we are emulating, started as okay, I think it's a brilliant message. It says, my brothers, the West, we are emulating, started as dictators under monarchs. Exactly. After the Civil War and the birth of parliamentary rule, the autocrats took over. When laws and stability was achieved, democracy was gradually introduced. We have not achieved any of these. No developing country should ever have democracy until you have law and order and proper functioning institutions. We were forced into this useless democracy in Africa because they wanted chaos in Africa for their benefit. By the way, Security Council does not rule the world. If we have nuclear capabilities in a united Africa, they will not mess with us because we have all the natural resources. Power, military power rules the world, and the control of money. Simply sit up. I couldn't agree with you more.
But the military power, if you say power, military power, and whatever, they are those who constitute the Security Council.
Yeah,
it is a contradiction.
Yeah, that's why he's saying that we should be able to command, like what was suggested by Kwame in 1965, 1963.
That's exactly what I am saying.
Yes.
Now he is, he has contradicted himself. He says the Security Council does not control the world. It is the same Security Council members are controlling the military might and the economic power.
Anyway, let me conclude.
Yeah. All I am saying is that we should not create an impression that if you are weak, you are not supposed to enjoy your entitlement. we should create a scene of egalitarianism at the level of global governance.
Okay. Look, I'm seeing some headlines here on the front page of Daily Guardian. I think that, look, it's hogwash. I won't hang on to power Akufo-Addo pledges. How can you hang on to power when you accept this?
I thought you allowed me to.
No, you're coming. Oh, of course, you're coming. We're not going to discuss. I'm just saying.
All right.
And then George Mekuduka is my friend, but this girl, I'm saying, well, you people know you can't win it, so forget, my friend. You've lost. Mekuduka is a very good friend of mine, very, very good friend of mine. But this one, he knows that this fight or this.
Is it Galamsey?
Yeah, Galamsey. It's a lost battle. It's a lost battle. You should go and watch Last Kingdom and learn. Anyway, let me come to the talk of matter on this subject matter.
All right, Kwame. I think Africa as a continent, what I that we have not really unraveled behind the Berlin Conference of 1884.
that built.
We didn't
unraveled
the mystery behind it.
Artificial boundaries.
And the West have been using it all over the years.
Yes, that's right.
And they are successful at it. And we have not sat down to even plan as to how we also will strategize to overturn some of these ideologies. Look, just this morning, Daily Graphic, I just read that U.S. returns stolen artifacts to Mali.
Why?
They stole from Africa. They develop their countries with the division of Africa. They strive on the division. In fact, these 14 countries in 1884 decided to divide Africa among themselves.
Yes. With impunity.
I'm telling you. And the world is not talking about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Abba.
In one context, I agree with you, Kwame, that you see, indeed, the UN Security Council is very powerful. You need a representation there, just as Dr. Mazuga has submitted. However, that is not what we really need as a continent, because we don't have any niche for ourselves. There's no niche. Look, who told you when you have natural resources you are rich? Who told you? Else Africa should be rich. You should be able to think, strategize, add value to your resources. Why is it that, Kwame, do you know that when you go to some of the Eastern European countries, all they do is to refine oil?
Yeah.
That is what
that's their business.
Brings them
the money,
chunk of their revenue. Because the West will not come and build an oil refinery in an African country.
Is it Rafosa or Ramaphosa?
Ramaphosa.
The world will not come and build drainages for you so that your people will not be killed by malaria. I hope you get the picture.
Yes.
That is where I agree with Kwame. That look, there are more important things to do for people. And that is the only way they'll be able to break these genes of dictatorial ideologies since 1884. We have been divided by these countries along ethnic. But look, Africa was one. Even in diversity, we coexisted. Look, one of the peaceful people in this world are Africans.
Yeah.
The West, they can't tolerate even languages. Africa coexisted before the slave trade started. When we started trading with them, they cannot tolerate diversity. And we have not realized that those people are people who don't mean the best for us. They only come and invest here just to make money. They've been able to translate the 1884 ideology into contemporary business ideologies.
It's working for them.
Africa doesn't have our own business lines. Look, Chairman, tell me what we control in this continent. Our distribution channels are controlled by the West. Our factories are controlled by the West. We don't have a lot of things on our own. Look at it. Since Nigeria started, exploring oil, how many refineries do they have? Ghana, my oil refinery, Allen cannot even refine a quarter of what we need in a day. So what has prevented Africa to say, okay, within Africa, let's get about 5 refineries to refine our oil here. Dubai is Dubai because they have all those things there. They won't sell the oil to you at its raw state. So spending too much time. There are some committees, by virtue of your emerging nature, they extend hands to you. You don't need to even ask of it. Why is it that UN is now, showcasing the emerging economies like Malaysia and then Indonesia and South Korea? North Korea is virtually fighting with everybody, but you cannot joke with him. He doesn't need representation on any
That's the whole point.
The UN Security Council. But he is working towards the development of its citizens. Now, let's come back to African policy. Trickle it down to Ghana. That is where, you see, we talk about Africa, we need to talk about your indigenous, environment. As I've mentioned in this platform, in this same studio, you've lamented this morning. We don't have a national development plan which we are projecting, that will project our development that in the next 10 years. Look, the average people in class 1 or class 3, class 4 should even know what he or she will be doing the next 5 years, and also tell you what Ghana is going to. Look, the American dream has trickled down to the primary school people in the US, because they know there's an American dream. They can explain it and break it down for you. I treat it to the level of what they want to do, because they know that in America, whatever you want to do, there is the opportunity to do it. And the American dream is about opportunities for their own people. Do you have anything like that? Today, we have NPP coming with their manifesto. NDC will also come with their manifesto. I don't know about CPP. How long will we develop this country with party ideologies? And Kwame, we'll continue wanting these two parties that have duopolized governance in this country. That you see, the people are watching, and they should be listening to us. That it will get to a stage that the democracy we have labored to build since 92, the Fourth Republic, may crumble if we don't take care and make sure that we channel the principles of democracy to the development of individual livelihood of the average Ghanaian. Every Ghanaian must benefit from the principle of democracy. Else, alternatives, people will start looking for alternatives. Now, what's the essence of people praising Ghana in terms of democratic credentials? When in actual fact, people, the youth, a chunk of them are unemployed. And there was this alarming revelation myself and Dr. Marzouk realized and observed from literature and even testimonies that in Nigeria, some people are going back to these terrorists. You know why? Because they are okay.
They are more comfortable.
They provide them with the basic things like water. So whilst the global news is telling you that maybe Boko Haram and the others are causing mayhem, others enjoy their territorial protection. You know why? Because these guys are taking advantage of the deficiencies and flaws of central government, where people think that some people don't deserve to enjoy the national cake. Exclusivity, exclusion from fair representation. For instance, in fact, I was hurt. I thought it wasn't true, but at the end of the day, I think it's political. But it should have come from somebody like Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh. I was sad it's not a very good conversation. Yeah. No, it's about this Ketasi defense wall. When he vouched that indeed, if the Minister of Finance tries to include it in the budget, he will demonstrate from his. I mean, why do you say this as a Minister of State? No, Kwame, it's unfair. This is just unfair to the people of this country. Chairman, I am from the Volta region. Are you okay? I pay tax every month. In fact, sometimes I don't want to look at my pay slip because the proponent of tax I contribute to the development of this country is enough to irritate me when people say such a thing about where I come from. That is why he's not a finance minister. I was so sad that it would come from someone like Honorable Matthew Kupempe, one of the respected MPs. Kwame, in this same studio, I've come to praise this man. Tell me I'm lying. That one of the ministers who helped with implementing free SHS. And I always give him a thumb up. These are things that cause division. These are things that causes exclusion in national governance. So you see, fast forward. Yes, as a continent, we need to take into consideration the needs of your people. Develop them. I've been following North Korea for some time now. The people enjoy their leader, but the West is portraying him as one of the most undemocratic leaders in the world.
Yeah.
But trust me, this is what I have realized in this world, that if you want to develop in the midst of this wicked, unscrupulous Western ideologies, you have to shut the door to them.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Like anyway, when China shut the door to the whole world
and decided that, listen, we're going to develop ourselves and we'll come back, we'll open our doors again. Anyway, but I think that we are learning a lot on the show today. Yes, I'm excited about it. You should be excited about it as well. But I find this banner story on the front page of the Ghanaian Times and a few other newspapers as very troubling and worrying, where the president says, I will hand over power peacefully in 2025. President challenges fellow West African leaders to do same. But it struck me that why? Was the president harboring the thoughts of not giving power peacefully in 2025? Or is it that he thought that he could change the constitution so that he could stay in power for long? I don't get the import of all of these. You know, it's quite strange, but because in Ghana, whether you like it or not, once you are done with either your 4 years or your 8 years, you will pack your bags and you will exit. You will exit.
I mean, probably it's just an affirmation that look, you want to.
Nobody needs any affirmation. The truth is that and I'm not in law they say you are enjoined.
You know our president is one of the fighters of democracy. You can't take it as
is he?
Yes, he is. As a child, I've followed him, and his posture from day one, the struggle, he believes in governance for all.
You see,
equal opportunities.
Hold on.
Why won't you allow me to finish?
But place it. Place it now. Kids are watching. Kids are watching.
Oh yeah. No.
We need
the kids should be told the truth.
The truth.
So let him tell
that's what I'm telling you.
So that is your truth.
Probably. You see.
So let him
just watch.
Do you know the real story behind Kwame Preco?
Okay.
You don't know.
You can share it.
I can't share it on air.
Because I know
there are some things I can't say on air.
I know the other version maybe of your story. Are you okay? So I can also tell you the story of
what that is what is in the public domain.
No.
And so that is what you know.
No.
And that's what you would say.
No.
So say it.
Kwame, you see, Kwame.
But who tells you that what you know is the truth? and what you know is not the truth.
I can tell you
what I'm telling you.
I can tell you that as a child, some of these meetings were held closer to my house. Yes.
Which house?
Kokomlemle. So I was born and bred around Kokomlemle and Newtown. So once I mention Kwame, you should understand where I'm coming from. So
you know.
I know.
So at least you know.
I know. I know. Look, I was part of Kubi Preko. At a younger age, at that age, my father left me around, at the old timers. Oh God, they said, look, go and rest. Let me go.
I covered it as a journalist.
And I always say this. You see,
yes, for free press.
I want to believe, and the Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo, His Excellency, that I know, will not do the things that Ouattara and Co did. And this statement is probably to tell the world, Africa, that look, you should continue to be envious of the some of the good things we are doing with democracy in this country. That for us, at no point in time will any sitting president try to circumvent the constitution when against the people's will. We have come to believe it. We have come to accept it. It has become part and parcel of us. Democracy gives us tomorrow you can be a president of this country. That is what we call the all-inclusive governance. That is why it is cherished over the monarchy, the monarch, the chieftaincy. That look, Kwame, probably some of us, the families we come from, we will never have the opportunity of becoming chiefs and kings to lead our communities. And what democracy brings on board is that fairness, that at any given point in time, Kwame, no matter where you are coming from, can become the first man. And for the president, it's fair that he will tell the whole world that he will surely hand over.
Let me ask you a few questions.
Coming back to your probably your observation, is that look, with the current dispensation, where we have gotten to as a country in Ghana, no president will try circumventing the will of the people. When in actual fact, we've all seen the figures. We've queued to vote. The only time you see Ghanaians queuing is, on voting.
Or when they are going to fetch water.
As for the water, it depends on areas, okay? On the day of voting, everybody queues. No matter who you are, you queue. And it has an implication that people are so much interested in who rule them, who leads them. So Kwame, I understand your point, but this man, I always give him that credit. But look, he's fought for democracy. He believes in it, and I even love. In fact, I love his 2012 after the Supreme Court election, statement that he believes in the principles of law. So even though he disagrees, he accepts the verdict.
I'll introduce you to a series on Netflix. It's called How to Go and watch it, and you will understand why some leaders talk.
I think I've watched that.
You will understand the operations.
I've watched that.
So you know how people are able to use their oration skills to win the people to their side, and then use that as a springboard for the purposes of achieving their personal interests.
What are you insinuating?
I'm just saying.
Kwame, what are you insinuating?
I'm just saying.
Ask Kwame for me. What are you insinuating?
I'm just saying.
I've watched that series.
I've not said anything. I'm only asking you to go and. I'm only asking you to go and watch.
I understand.
I'm only asking you to go and watch. Oh, Bradok, are you not my friend?
Yeah.
So if I ask you to go and watch a series on Netflix,
nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong with that. Let me come to Dr. Maruzuko on this subject matter. Yes. Dr. Maruzuko, he pontificates that the president is democratic and preaches democracy, has fought for democracy and the rule of law and things like that. But I think that when we're all growing up, there's one thing which resonated with all of us, that action speaks
louder than words.
Yeah, that's true.
So, can you say same for our current?
Right. I partly agree with him. Then I will advance the argument to the waters of disagreement.
Okay.
I'll start by agreeing with him that the president is a Democrat. He is a Democrat, theoretically and practically. he's a Democrat. He's a Democrat because he has been a leading champion of the rule of law in this country. He has used his legal expertise to defend democracy and good governance in this country. He has used his expertise as a lawyer to defend constitutionalism in this country. When, during Kwame, I had an opportunity, and with all humility, I think I'm the oldest on the set.
Oh, yeah.
So I have the opportunity to cover
you are Ulumai.
So today, I'm the senior citizen among you.
Yes.
Anyway, with all humility, I had the opportunity to cover Kwame for free press. And I saw what the president and others did. The president, when free press encountered the criminal libel charges, it was the president that defended the free press. At the time, I think Chronicle, there was a professor, Professor Danso, I've forgotten his name. He was defending Chronicle. The president was defending the free press. Tommy Thompson, Tommy Thompson, Ebin Kwako, and the rest. I was the court reporter. I had my seniors, but I was reporting from court. I saw the president argue. I saw how the president passionately defended these journalists. I saw everything. Now, the president has also been on record to have sponsored students. I know. He has been on record to have sponsored and encouraged students to go to the university, to enrich themselves intellectually, and groomed some lawyers. Akotuan Pao and the rest are all the trainees of the president. So he has done well in terms of democratic consolidation. Now I'm moving to the area of disagreement.
Okay.
In his democratic journey, unfortunately, he has come to a stage where his democratic credentials can be questioned by independent analysts. And it is because of the way he runs this country. He may not be personally responsible for undemocratic practices of his regime, but he should be institutionally responsible or officially responsible for leading the regime. A regime that is seen to be antagonistic to the media. It was the same president. When you saw the president yesterday defending the media, you cannot match his actions yesterday with what is happening in his own regime. So definitely, and of course as a human being, he has his own flaws. So some analysts, independent ones, of course, and I know you will agree with me, will question what he did yesterday in the name of democratic governance, what his regime, not he himself, what his administration is doing to journalists today. Some will have reasons to question. Two, let me also be fair to the president. This statement, even though might have been unnecessary, could be understood in the context of what seems to be the return of the chase of coup on the African continent. There have been many instances of coup. Military intervention, useless. And I've always said, I will never support any form of military intervention. It has always been useless. It has never been useful. The coup against Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the coup against Dr. Buzia, the coup against Dr. Liman. The only time coup becomes productive is the coup against the coup. That's the only time coup becomes productive.
And when the latter coup hands over to democratic government,
even now people are questioning the champion so much.
Yes. You understand that? Useless ventures.
It appears the champion was doing well.
Yes. You understand that? So, I mean, if the president is witnessing series of coups on the continent and in the sub-region, definitely he may be influenced by these instances to declare that he will hand over power peacefully. Perhaps that's number one. That's number one justification. Two, but then even that, I think the president should have been, his tone should have been affirmative, right? Emphatic. So semantically, by way of diction, I think the auxiliary verb war should have been mass. I mass, not war, because the Constitution enjoins him, as you say, to hand over power. There's nothing he can do. He must. This is a matter of diction. I cannot impose my own diction on the president, but I think ideally the will as an auxiliary verb in that structure should have been mass. First of all, to emphasize the constitutional provision on the handover and to affirm that he will not act as some of his colleagues have done. So I strongly believe that the president remains a Democrat, but his regime continues to bring us reasons for some people to question his democratic credentials. I think as a human being, we should be fair to him. And those who question his democratic credentials must also be understood. They have their own basis. So what I am urging the presidency to do is to try as much as possible to protect the democratic integrity and credentials of our president.
Thank you very much, Dr. Owusu. Brilliant submission. Thank you, Dr. Kokumato. Brilliant submissions here on the show. A big thank you to the viewers for tuning in and contributing quite significantly to the show. My name is Kwame Owusu, and as always, it's been an absolute pleasure serving you nothing but the best here on Good Morning Africa. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Do have a very wonderful day. You can call me Champion KOD anywhere, anytime, and I will respond. See you tomorrow. Have a nice day. Let me remind you that Alaji and Alaji goes public on the 18th of December. We'll be broadcasting Alaji and Alaji from our forecourt here in Pan African Television. So you can come and witness the panelists do their things here on at the forecourt of Pan African Television. Indeed, I know that Kwame will be here. I know that Alaji A.B. Husseini will be here. I am yet to get the flyers for the other panelists. As and when I do that, if I get it before tomorrow, I'll make sure I mention their names here on the show. But it's been brilliant submissions from the both of you. One that can only be described as having the butter of democratic growth and the advancement of development in Ghana. I'm very grateful to you. As for you, PSA, please, I have a colleague, a friend who intends to attend your school. So you have to do some magic, work some magic for me. No problem. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.